Valis is one of my favorite 16-bit action franchises of all time. Not because it's the best looking or playing side-scroller you'll ever see, but rather because the story kicks ass, the cinemas are genuinely awesome, and the voice acting is so bad that it's actually good. We already went through the first installment a few weeks ago, so I thought it might be fun to continue the series by looking at the 1990 sequel. Turn back now if you don't want to know what happens next, because today we're going to spoil the story and ending for Valis II on the TurboGrafx-CD. This is Game Over, the early years. Previously on Valis.
You are my first and my only friend. Thank you.
Okay, so there's this girl named Yuko who gets sucked into an alternate dimension known as the Fantasy World and fights off the evil King Rogulis. She wins, gets transported back home, and then wonders if it was all a dream. Well, it wasn't, as we learn as we spy in on the other dimensional demons plotting to take back the Sword of Valis.
That young woman single-handedly brought down the Rogulis King. Is it possible that a mere woman now has the Sword of Valis in her possession? She must be a giant of some kind. Even with the massive powers at our disposal, it will probably be impossible to defeat her. But by sheer strength or cunning, we must find some way to capture the Sword of Valis.
As you can see, demons have invaded the world of reality in the hopes of stealing back the famous sword. Yuko is forced to fight through the city streets in hopes of defeating the Red Salamanders Aruga, one of Rogulis' 12 generals. Why is this happening? What can we do to stop these demons? As it turns out, the ghost of Reiko may have the answers.
It's you, Reiko!
Yuko, you've got to save the people of Vacanti. You're the only person in the universe who can do it.
What do you mean? Where are you?
I'm at your side, as always.
What happened on Vacanti?
Vacanti is now a huge battlefield. The war has turned Vacanti into an inferno, and the people are suffering terribly.
Battlefield?
After you killed the Rogulis King, the people of Vacanti split into two armies, the army of the Rogulis King and the army that opposes them. That is how the war started.
Why does the Rogulis army want my Sword of Valis so badly?
The army opposing Rogulis has managed to bring back Emperor Magus through an opening in the dimensional field. Magus has taken over the anti-Rogulis forces and turned them into his own Magus army. In the wake of the invincible power of the Magus army, the Rogulis army has been losing the war. As a last resort, the Rogulis army is trying to get its hands on your Sword of Valis.
Who is this Magus?
Magus is the rightful heir and successor to the throne of Vacanti. He is also the older brother of the Rogulis King.
His older brother? I don't understand. Reiko, where are you?
You must go to Varna as fast as you can.
It seems that Yuko has once again been transported to a different world, and now she's fighting for her life through some sort of dark cave or something. This eventually leads to an outdoor battle with lizard men and an ominous mountain in the distance. It's here where Yuko first meets Magus, the brother of the evil King Rogulis. More importantly, it's the first time Yuko gets a chance to see the power Magus wields. He slices one of the generals in half, a violent hint at what's to come. And if that wasn't bad enough, we learned that Magus has defeated our army, and Veniti has been captured by the bad guys. Things are looking dire, so Yuko sets out to meet up with Valia, the floating ethereal woman who first introduced us to the fantasy world. Unfortunately, the path to the futuristic fortress is filled with two-headed tigers and cat women. It's a real feline-friendly level. She battles her way to the top of the fortress to reveal the next boss, a gladiator who explains that they're simply trying to return the country to its rightful ruler. Yuko wins, but it may be too late.
Varia! This all happened because my powers were not strong enough.
Yuko, I will now tell you what Vario told us on her deathbed.
Yes?
Varna has a twin sister. Because it was thought that the existence of two heirs to the throne might cause a civil war, the older of the two girls was sent to the world of reality. Yuko, you are the sister who was sent to the world of reality. You are Varna's twin sister.
Boom! The first big twist of the game. Empowered by this new knowledge, Yuko suddenly knows what she has to do, and that's to change clothing. Now, with an even more badass, yet still completely impractical outfit, our schoolgirl hero sets out to fulfill her twin destiny. This means infiltrating the Magus stronghold and slaying the ruler once and for all. But this isn't going to be easy, as we discover as we try to navigate the cavernous fortress. To make this worse, Yuko is almost immediately ambushed by the worst voice actor in the world.
I am Hyzen the Ruthless. I am here to avenge my mother. The whole reason this war started was because you killed Rogless.
The ways of Rogless were evil. The same goes for Magus.
Meanwhile, Magus is visited by a surprise guest.
Varia, are you so worried about your daughters that you cannot die in peace?
Emperor Magus, do you happen to remember anything about the war?
If there was a king who could wield absolute power, the country could be united. That's something even you should know. Is that why you decided to desert Yuko?
No, on the contrary, I have continued to protect her with my life.
Let's not exaggerate.
And what can be done to unite the country? You cannot do it with just force alone.
My task is to unite the country by sheer force. When that is completed, I can relinquish power to my successor.
Your successor?
Yuko has not had the same amount of luck finding Magus. She's currently stuck dodging laser beams and other futuristic tech. This is a challenging stage that not only introduces us to a new batch of enemies, but also gives us a glimpse at where these bad guys came from. It all leads to Scarlet Fire Toe, a strong warrior who seems to be the final guardian protecting the evil dictator. But Magus isn't really interested in being protected. In fact, he seems to be playing a whole other game, as we find out in this interesting reveal.
Your Majesty, grant me the power!
This is a test of individual combat for both of you. If I were to help you to win, then it would no longer be a fair fight.
Your Majesty!
On guard! Ha!
Yeah!
Now, Magus, it's your turn.
The final push to Magus takes Yuko through what appears to be the throat of an alien. She's riding the lower teeth, and you know what, I'm not even going to attempt to explain what's going on here. Maybe it doesn't matter. She eventually makes her way to Magus, where the two duke it out in the middle of space. Here's what happens next.
Bravo. You are a great fighter. An even match always makes for an interesting fight.
Magus, if you had fought Toe, you'd have won. Why didn't you do it?
Because, Yuko, you and I share the same fate.
The same fate?
I was the first son born to King Kaiser, the former ruler of Vacanti. But I was assassinated in a plot hatched by the retainers of my younger brother, Roglus. In order to stay alive, I received a mechanical body. I resolved to challenge my brother, Roglus. I slowly pieced together the threads of the conspiracy to kill me, only to find that my own father, King Kaiser, was the instigator of the plot. Later, I was banished to another dimension.
Magus?
It is useless to go on fighting this way. Farewell, Yuko. You who share the same fate as I commend the welfare of Vacanti into your hands.
Magus. A pitiful warrior.
This is such a good ending. I love that Magus isn't just some random tough guy, but the story actually makes him somewhat sympathetic. I mean, he's still a brutal killer that conquered countries through force, but there's a tragic tale in here. I'm not saying there needs to be a Netflix animated series based on Valis, but if there is one, Magus would probably be a pretty awesome character that they could develop over multiple seasons. It's also worth noting that while Yuko wins the battle and seemingly saves the day, this ending leaves our hero forever changed. She now knows the truth about her family and that she's a twin. She ends this game knowing that while this fight may have been won, her battle is far from over. It may be hard to go back to the real world and just be some regular schoolgirl after this. And I like that the ending doesn't try to pretend that it's all a dream or imaginary. The truth is, I kinda love this ending. Hey, thanks for watching this episode of Game Over, The Early Years. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new episodes every Monday. So here's the question I have for you. What sequel do you wish had a better ending? I know a lot of people are gonna say Mass Effect 3, but I'm sure there are a bunch that I'm not even thinking about. Let me see your picks in the comments below. Let me tell you, we have a packed week in store for you. Look for reviews of both Persona Dancing and Toki, along with 2 new episodes of Grand Theft Auto's Best and Worst Awards. In the meantime, I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.